The end of the Team Smackdown versus Team Raw match has resulted in Edge and Rey Mysterio being the sole survivors on their Team Smackdown. Hornswoggle in the corner celebrating. We're watching this live, and indeed a long match of eliminations. It started off with a lot of spots with Tyler Rex. Rex, of course, got a good showing in this, and he did get a chance to do some stuff. Not great, but certainly he was at least part of this, and I think that's a good sign for him. Guys like Edge and Mysterio were initially sort of kept in the corner, held off for some of those later spots, and indeed by the time it boiled down to it, we had a 3-on-1 situation, I think, until Mysterio, who had actually gone back to the back, not counted out, he returned, and then it was 3-on-2.
Yeah, it was an okay match, safe enough for the most part. SmackDown's captain, the Big Show, not really standing by his team and leaving the ring with Sheamus in a bit of a brawl. So really Edge and Mysterio left to pick up the pieces. Mysterio was out of action there for quite some time and made a quick return just towards the end, but good display from everybody. And Tyler Rex, Ezekiel Jackson, I think definitely proved his point that he's here to stay, and for the second year straight, it's Team SmackDown with the win.
This was quite a slow match to me. I did kind of lose concentration halfway through, and certainly the eliminations in some cases slipped by without too much notice, and not very believable also to have Show, the captain of the team, walking out along with Sheamus. They kind of brawled their way outside, and I don't think it was the best of things for him to do that, but we've been left with Edge, Mysterio, probably top babyfaces on SmackDown, and of course everybody speculated that the move to Sci-Fi was going to be a sort of a promotional deal. Put SmackDown over and see what happens. Now we do have 3 callers on Skype. I suppose I'm going to ask Rev Jake, what did you think of that one?
Well, you know, to me it was just another match. It wasn't all that exciting. I've seen more action from a non-pornography convention. I mean, I literally want to go out tomorrow, find a homeless guy, and shove over his damn shopping cart. I'm so mad.
Good colour commentary. Drifter, did you find that entertaining?
I thought it was a bit of a cluster, to be honest. You know, I knew SmackDown was going to win. I just didn't know. There were guys that I thought were gone that weren't gone, and there were guys outside of the ring I thought were eliminated, and I didn't really know who was left until the end, so it was a little bit confusing.
I found the exact same, that eliminations went by so quickly.
The turning point was Alex Riley trying to save the Miz from that 619, and I think his involvement, when he got in the way, things went a bit, I think it got a bit hairy for Team Raw, and yeah, it looks like 2 years running SmackDown reign supreme once again.
Indeed, so yeah, it looks like they will be getting on those planes first, as Stryker said a few weeks ago, that allows them to do things like that, and I suppose a good gimmick when you think about it. Nice also to see that team of veterans. I suppose thinking about it, they were going to go over, and Show, Edge, Mysterio, all the power was on that team. A lot of young guys on the Raw team, but overall I think a good performance from everyone. I mean, it's never going to be easy with 14 guys and 2 guys in the corner for anybody really to stand out that much. Of course, the top baby faces are going to get the extra push, and indeed Edge and face Mode and Mysterio side by side. Bragging Rights Live has just concluded, and indeed Randy Orton has come out on top via disqualification, and indeed the Nexus guys got involved in this match while the referee was knocked out, and in the end it ended up with Orton as the champion still, and Wade Barrett really didn't impress me too much. Now, I was expecting a lot more. It seemed to be led by Wade, but he just didn't make it that interesting. And I felt like Orton and Barrett initially looked like a good size match. It looked like that these guys could coexist well in the ring, and that if they did work well, that it would be a good combination going forward. I'm not quite sure it worked out that well though.
No, not at all. I think it was a horrendously awful finish to a horrendously awful pay-per-view. I think anyone who paid for that tonight wouldn't be too happy. Luckily for us, we didn't have to. But yeah, I mean, a DQ, I think anywhere on the card is going to be a bit hairy. But as the main event and as the finisher, was just insane. Ridiculous stuff altogether. But horrible match. Just didn't go anywhere. Barrett wasn't a bit impressive, really. Orton did his usual, and Cena interferes to cost Barrett the title. A bit of heat, no doubt, tomorrow night from the fallout with Barrett and Cena, but yeah, it was just a bit of a
Nexus were a bit too involved in this pay-per-view earlier on in the night. Nexus coming out to interfere with the Taker-Kane match, and indeed they were the finish for that, really. And again involved in this one, I think not the best of ideas. Now, we've had that Nexus push for too long. I think let's not have them in these finishes again. Of course, Husky Harris and Michael McGillicuddy, why weren't they involved in this? I hope that that isn't a sign that they're going to be dispatched of and perhaps not featured as much, because I think they should be fully fledged members of Nexus at this point. I think McGillicuddy and Husky have both earned their spots, and indeed a long time in developmental, so hopefully more of them involved in this, and indeed get some fresh faces, because it looks like it is going to go on for a while. I'd expect maybe Survivor Series. Perhaps we're looking at triple threat. Maybe it's going to be Orton, Cena, Barrett at that next pay-per-view.
Looks like they're going to drag the arse out of the Nexus thing for a bit anyway. They'll have a lot of stuff to run off with Cena and Otunga being the tag champs, and the kind of stuff they can do with that, and how they get on together and see if they can successfully defend those belts as a team. And then of course the double cross, well, not so much double cross, but Cena letting Wade know that he wants to never give up and fight for C Nation.
Overall, it was a very, very slow pay-per-view. The two big headline matches, the Team Smackdown versus Team Raw match, and Cena in the corner of Barrett versus Orton, both let down, and I think that's what was being touted as the big highlights perhaps of that card before the event. I don't think either of those matches paid the bills tonight, and I think if they're going to do more stuff with Barrett, they're going to have to make sure it's with somebody who can maybe not so much mirror his style, because him and Orton, very similar. I think Cena and Barrett, probably a better match. Even Sheamus versus Barrett would be a good road, I think, to eventually go down. Of course, both those guys heel, so maybe it'll be some form of triple threat or other gimmick match where we might see that happen eventually. Thinking back through the highlights of this one, I suppose the opening match, again, that wasn't great either. Daniel Bryan and The Miz... it wasn't The Miz, but we were expecting him to cash the briefcase in, and he didn't.
Yeah, looks like he's going to hold out. But yeah, the US title, Intercontinental title, I thought it was a title match, but the mid-carders, as we called them earlier on, fighting for their own brands, and wasn't too good, really. A couple of nice moves out of Daniel Bryan. Dolph was a bit poor, and surprising finish. Didn't think Daniel Bryan would go over, but it wasn't really the greatest of matches either. So
No, and of course, without a good opening match, it's always going to slow things down. And it felt like with each successive match, things got slower. Eliminations went on in that team match where you just didn't even see them. They passed by, and not very inspiring to see 10 minutes of Tyler X ring work. I don't know if he needed to be in there as much as he was. And again, something that kind of let that match down overall. Surprisingly, I think even Layla versus Natalia probably had some better spots than maybe Orton Barrett. And I mean, that's something to say.
It's true, yeah. Layla retains the title, and once again, Natalia no closer to having the gold around her waist.
Overall, the score out of 10 for this pay-per-view, I would probably give it a 4 out of 10, and that really would be of the lower, I think, ratings that you could give this one. Couldn't put it at 5 or 6.
I wouldn't. 5 would be generous. I think 4 is what it deserves, and I think that's mainly for the production and the ring ropes and the stage set, and that truck that Kane could power with his mind. Maybe 4.2 for the truck.
And at the very least, the tag team surprise where Cena and Otunga have come out of it with the belts. Now, I would expect on Raw to hopefully see that situation where any of the Nexus members can hold those tag belts. We talked about that in the chat room here tonight, and indeed Rev Jake mentioning it's like the Freebird syndrome. You never know who was going to compete in the match, and they could very well do that. They could spread out the belts among those Nexus guys. They could even give it to Husky and Michael McGillicuddy.
That would be pretty funny stuff. I wonder will they do that actually. But I think for Cena and Otunga to kind of hold them would be funny.
So that is our thoughts on WWE Bragging Rights 2010. Indeed, catch us here live on Justin Sundays, and check out the YouTube each and every week for our thoughts on the world of wrestling as it stands today.